smile. Oh yeah, look at that, baby. Hey, Crow. Nice to see you. Hi everybody, it's Theia. Welcome back to Garden Goddess Tarot and the In the Garden of the Goddess Secret Member Space. This is the video for members, and today we are talking about my little excursion, my experience of soaking up all of the goodness that was the new moon solar eclipse in Aries yesterday. It was so cool. This is one of those, people have mixed feelings about eclipses, but that's neither here nor there. I'm fascinated by them. I find them so interesting. It is super cool. And this particular one was tracking its way across the earth in a way that made it so I could go see it, which is kind of like a once in a lifetime thing for people where I live. So I thought, actually it was husband who suggested we go see it, and I was 1,000% on board. So where I am in Ontario, there was like a small portion that we could go to where we would be in the path of totality, which is the bit where, based on where you are on the earth, the moon completely blocks and covers the sun, and you get this amazing dark, like halo of light in the sky kind of experience. It was pretty wild. So obviously we were gonna go do that. You could see it fairly well from home, and I think a lot of like friends and family around here did that. They just, we got our eclipse glasses and just checked it out here. But for the full experience, getting right along that center path of totality is ideal. So we made the trip. I'm gonna share a little bit about that today, specifically with you guys, as well as I did my my new moon in Aries card pull as well, which was pretty spicy. So that's all going to be in there for this video, which is super cool. So as I mentioned before, even the first eclipse was doing weird things for me this time. And as I said, people have mixed feelings about eclipses, but again, as I said, I'm fascinated. I find them super interesting, just based on, the energies of the sun and the energies of the moon converging in such a strong way at a certain time. It's pretty wild. And the portal and window between the pair of eclipses, because eclipses comes in pairs, right? There'll be a when the moon is full at nighttime, there'll be like a shadow cast on the moon for the first half of the eclipse. That was a few weeks ago, and then now the moon is passing in front of the sun, and it was so wicked. It was incredibly cool. I'm just I'm such a dork, but yeah, they come with their own unique, definitely unique set of energies. And having experienced it, I can tell there's a reason we feel weird about it. Like, even the birds that were around us, we found a good parking spot kind of out in the middle of nowhere, in like a really random spot. I was personally hoping we would find a good beach spot, because you have to go down by the water. Most of the actual path of totality was over the lakes, which was kind of irritating, but it's okay. And actually, apparently, sorry, random side fact, like there was 200,000 people who made the trip to Niagara Falls, like, which is like there was like one like peninsula of land out that juts into the water where it was going to be the best place to see it. And it was just funny how it was such like a small space that was access to that perfect spot, and then so many people went. But I got a bit creative in not where we chose to go, and I think it was definitely the best choice. It was much less traffic. So we found a spot in the middle of nowhere, and there was a lot of wildlife around us. So I'll probably leave some of the sound in on some of them. But the frogs, like it's frog mating season, right? So the frogs are just singing, and it was the middle of the day, and they were just like. They're singing. They're not like croaking. They do this thing when they're doing their little mating call, and it sounds like singing. And they were just doing it all day long. I went over to the little like water swampy area to try and find some, but they were well hidden. But they were like screaming all day. So I don't know if that was normal or just like more than usual. But the birds specifically were acting super weird. They were like flying around in weird formations. They were like landing really close to us and like squawking at the sky in like a really weird way. so it's not just me that felt the weirdness for sure. So it's definitely can be picked up by other things. But and like even husband, even Chris mentioned, he's like, yeah, no, the birds are actually they're definitely starting to act weird. Like something's up. They know something's going down. But yeah, so we found a parking spot. I packed the most amazing picnic lunch. I prepared as well. I brought some tarot decks. Didn't actually use them while I was there. Used them when I got home. But I made solar eclipse water. Obviously, had to get the goods. So I set that out to kind of soak up all of the eclipse vibes while that was going down. Also, a good thing about having a spot out of the way of other people. I could kind of set up my station without too much interference from random people who were like, what are you doing? So yeah, the sun started to be blocked by the moon in like very small increments. It like crept up. I was tracking the time pretty closely as the day went on, once we got our parking spot set up. And I found I could record right through the eclipse glasses. So I got some pretty cool shots of the moon starting to creep across the sun through the eclipse glasses, which was pretty wicked. And, you know, it starts slow and then it gets faster and faster as it goes. And until eventually you notice, like, the shadows, like your shadows start to get a bit fuzzy. They're not as crisp as they were. And it's amazing when you start to see how much of the sun is actually covered by the moon, but how bright it still actually is. And the clouds, I asked them nicely before I went. I made a little petition to Nephilim. Please, like, make yourself sparse today so that we can see. And it was pretty good. The clouds did behave themselves, and they were present, but they were definitely strategically, you know, they came and went as needed. I could see there was no point where I was like, dang, the clouds ruined it. The clouds were definitely, they were there, but they were enjoying the event as much as me. So we could see everything quite well most of the way. But yeah, the shadows were starting to get a bit fuzzy, and then it goes a bit gray. And it's not like nighttime. It's different than when like the sun is setting, because like there's not long harsh shadows. They're normal like midday shadows, but they were getting fuzzy, and then everything just starts to go a bit gray. The wind changes. The wind changed direction in a weird way. It came from like the northeast, which is a weird way for it to come right there. And then the birds start acting a bit weird. I don't know, and I maybe it was just all of the you could like the people in the whole surrounding area. It like got quiet, really quiet, and we were outside. Other than like these frogs singing and these birds squawking at the sky, it just got like quiet and like, you know, like the right before a thunderstorm kind of like electrical tingliness. It was like that, but like not as sparkly and pokey. It was more of like a dull hum that was like almost inaudible. And then once the moon starts to like get to that point of totality. It sounds so funny, that word in this context, totality.
Streetlights are on.
It sounds like so much, but once it started to get close, it got really dark. And then the streetlights came on, which was really weird for like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you looked to the north, you could see it looked like a sunset. There was like a purple, red, orange, yellow in the sky to the north. And that was really weird. It was a bit different. And then it got really dark. And then you could see, and then when totality happened, you could see the ring around the moon of the light from the sun kind of going around it, and it was so cool. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen with my eyes. I think I said that at one point. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, or probably ever will see. I don't know. But it was pretty crazy.
There you go. There it is. Look.
Oh my gosh.
You can take your sunglasses off now. It's safe.
Wow.
And it stayed like that longer than I was expecting. For how like fast it covered it, it stayed in totality for like 4 or 5 minutes, which it felt a lot longer than I expected. And you're sitting there in the dark in the middle of the day, and you can hear the people in the town. Like, we were kind of off, like behind a little suburb in like a really uncanny abandoned cul-de-sac. But it was great in the middle of a circle. I love it. It was a great spot. But you could hear the people down by the water and in the town like cheering as it happened, and we weren't even in a really busy area at all. But yeah, you could hear them cheering, which was nice. It was different. I was really worried it was gonna sound like, you know, when people make that noise when they go to see fireworks and they just ooh and ah, like that. Really, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. It's like the worst noise. It's like, come on, people, they're just sky explosions. Get over it. But it was a different kind of cheering for this one, which was kind of cool. I appreciated it. It was like genuine awe, as opposed to superficial silly awe. I don't know how to explain how it's different, but it was. So yeah, you could hear the people cheering, and then it got quiet again, as you could tell people were just like sitting and enjoying it, and like, I don't know, I was so excited. So once that happened, you could tell it started to get light again. A little sliver and crack would come out the other side, and it kind of just did the same process up to totality, just backwards, moving all the way across the sun, and all that jazz. And I left the water up for a while. We sat and we chilled with the remainder of the Eclipse vibes. Finished our lunch, and it was wild. And then we had the weird experience of driving home after being changed. So part of the big themes of this eclipse, eclipses in general, like, they're kind of like world shifting vibe related events. I've read in a few places where it's said that, you know, in history, whenever eclipse happens, there's usually a pretty big shakeup in the like world order of things. So I don't particularly subscribe to that narrative of thought, but it would be interesting. I was talking to Chris about it, and I'm getting better at like talking to him about the weird stuff, but he was like, well, I don't want things to change. I like the way my life is right now. I'm like, well, get ready for it. But check your birth chart to see specifically what area of your life this eclipse is going to happen. Check what house Aries is in. Aries and then Libra. The Aries Libra axis is kind of the nodes we're working with from the north and south node. So like trajectory, the change in destiny, and all that. So for me, here's some valuable little private tidbit of information. Aries, which I have placements in Aries. I have Mars in Aries as well, and it's in the 4th house, which is home. So there's an interesting place for there to be shifting like new kind of ace related energy, which we'll get to in a second when I talk about my tarot reading that I did when I got home. Yeah, new beginnings. So check your birth chart to see what house the sign of Aries, even if you don't have any placements in Aries, like if your sun or moon or rising or any of your planets aren't even in Aries, Aries is still in your chart, and whatever house that lands on for you is kind of, will tell you a bit about that area of your life. So for me, I've got Mars in Aries. Aries is in my 4th house, which is home. Chris's is in his 2nd house, which is career and money. So it's like, I don't know, like things can be shaken up. And it doesn't mean they're going to be shaken up for the worse. Doesn't mean for the better. It's just like there's going to be a shift and a change and like a fresh start, a new perspective. I don't know, it just like opens the lid a little bit in that area of your life. So I'm excited to see what happens. For me, it feels like a big deal. For you, it may not. It may not feel like a big deal. It might be in a part of your life that you don't have any planets. It's not a sign that really like jives with your sun sign either. So just have a look. But it's in a fire sign, so for me it feels like it's just like really adding the sparkle and extra zhuzh to things. So that's just my interpretation on that one there. So when I got home after we drove home after experiencing this monumentous event, which I need to double check to see when the last time there was a eclipse like that around here. I've heard like 1929, 1944, 1979, like there's a lot of different years, so I don't know which one they were, in what context they're referring to or what area or what have you. But it's like a once in a 150 to 200 year kind of event. So it is a big deal. Whether people say it is or not, it's a big deal. So when I got home, I did a tarot reading, obviously. I got all of my stuff. I put my new fresh Eclipse water up on the altar just for, obviously, had to go there for a little while. I brought some crystals to charge along with it to kind of add to the vibes. A tourmalated quartz, a clear quartz, and a parasolite, because I love parasolite, and it goes with me everywhere I do something exciting. But then I sat down to do a tarot reading, and I pulled out specifically from the Hellenic Oracle. I pulled out Aries, and I pulled out Themis, which are my like Aries, Libra kind of stand-ins in this case, to kind of see what the energy is among the Aries Libra axis when we're working with this kind of eclipse specifically. So I guess in theory I could have pulled Helios and Selene out on top of each other just for extra vibes, but you get the idea. It was there in spirit. So I went to the Marseille Tarot. No, the Rider Marseille Tarot, the New Artisan Tarot one, and I pulled a tarot spread. I gave it a good shuffle. I lit some candles, I set some intentions, and I pulled some cards about the Aries specific energy of the eclipse, and then the Libra, just to kind of see what this, like on the axis, how it's gonna work with me in my life. And the cards that came out, and I took jumpers on this, right? I did, so one for Libra, one for Aries, and then I wanted one in the middle as like a bridge between the two, like the pathway along the axis. So for Aries, I got the Ace of Pentacles. Absolutely wild. An ace on a like eclipse related to new beginnings. We've got the Ace of Pentacles, which is, potentiality for material resource, like physical earthly plane potential, and then like one would throw the word abundance in here, but just like the opportunity for newness on the material plane to arise, in this case in the 4th house in Aries. Cool. And then on the Libra side, which house is it? It's the opposite one to the 4th house. I forget. It's the career related one, which is interesting because I have no placements in Libra. I have no attachment to Libra whatsoever personally, and the career section of my birth chart is very, like, you can hear an echo when you talk down it. It's a weird spot. But I pulled the Ace of Cups there. So I don't know if there's going to be like either away or towards an emotional attachment to the career in a truth and balance and justice kind of way. I don't know, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. But I got the Ace of Cups and then the Ace of Pentacles. So 2 aces, 2 beginnings, 2 potentialities on an eclipse reading about new beginnings and potential going forward. Future destiny related stuff. Wow. And then for the bridge card, the axis between the two of them, you want to know who flew out? I'll give you 2 guesses who flew out. As the conduit between those 2 things. Who else would fly out? It was the Magician, obviously. So I was a pretty wild reading. My deck bottom card was the Hermit, which is ruled by Virgo, which is my moon sign, which is also Hermes. Mercury rules Virgo. So anyway, it's very, so I had, obviously, an absolutely fantastic eclipse day. I have lots to chew on. I'm gonna, this reading is one of those ones that's gonna stay out. I'm gonna leave it out for months. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna see how it plays out in my life and how things show up. But it was absolutely wild, and I'm reeling, I'm rolling in all of the ideas and thoughts. And I'm gonna try not to overthink it too. And that kind of, what do you call it? Self-fulfilling prophecy business. I don't want to do that. I just want to let things unfold as they will and as they align with how the energies of this eclipse kind of set things up. It'll be interesting to kind of tie the pieces together, but just my mood going into it is good. I'm excited. Eyes open. So definitely check your birth chart just to see. how the eclipse is going to play out for you specifically. It'll probably be completely different just because of how your birth chart is laid out. If you have any planets here, there, and everywhere, major placements and that sort of thing. Even what sign element you are too is important to kind of take into account. So on the easiest level, sorry, there's a ladybug in my sleeve. They're everywhere. But anyway, it was fantastic, an amazing time, and I hope you got a chance to have a look at it. Let me know in the comments or in Discord if you did anything for the eclipse, marked it on any occasion, or even just the new moon, because it's also a new moon too. So if you do new moon stuff, it was a day to do your new moon stuff too. So very cool. So yeah, tell me all the deets. Let me know all the juicy tidbits down below. But yeah, so thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it, guys. And I'll see all you fine people in my next video.